Jesus' humanity was assumed by his divinity. His humanity had a beginning, his divinity had no beginning, meaning his humanity is limited. St. Paul says in his letter to the Colossians, although he was in the form of God, he did not deem equality something to be grasped at, but rather lowered himself and took the form of a slave, being born in the likeness of men. Now, why did Paul use the word slave? Because of the limitations of the human nature he assumed, including ignorance. So, when the divine nature, including the divine intellect, memory, and will, incarnated itself in Mary's womb and assumed a human nature, including a human intellect, memory, and will, the eternal will, intellect, and memory of the divine nature was continuously informing the limited human intellect, memory, and will of the human nature. Therefore, for example, at the wedding feast of Cana, when Jesus is asked by Mary to do something because they have no more wine, that is the guests, and the bride and the groom had no more wine at the wedding feast, Jesus says, "My hour has not yet come." What hour is that? For him to reveal himself as the Messiah. Up until now, nobody knew that Jesus was the Messiah. And he knew that once he did a public miracle, eyes would be drawn to him, and his ministry would begin as the Messiah. But then what does Mary say after Jesus says, "My hour has not yet come"? She turns to the waiter and says, "Do whatever he tells you." In that instant, the divine intellect informed the human intellect of Christ, "Now your time has come." Just a moment ago, he said, "My time has not yet come." But once Mary directed the waiter, he saw through Mary the will of God, and now he said, "Okay, I will perform my first public miracle," thereby initiating, jump-starting my public ministry as the Messiah. So there are occasions in the life of Christ where his human intellect had to be informed by the divine intellect. It wasn't all at once, it was progressively. And that's why Luke says he had to grow in his human nature, in age, wisdom, and knowledge. And even the letter to the Hebrews says he learned obedience through suffering. So this was a progression on his human level, not on the divine level. And some people go so far as to say, oh, Christ in his human nature didn't know he was God until he was 12. That's ridiculous. I mean, from the moment of conception, he was aware in his human intellect of his mission, his purpose, his divinity, and so forth. Thank you.